I mean, you have to have the passion. You've got to see that first of all. You've got to want to do it. But then I think you do have to branch out a lot more now. I mean, there is guys, all they do is play the drums. Then there's a lot of guys that do a lot of different things, maybe produce a little bit. But I think you have to just do a lot of things now. And especially as a dad, and I know a lot of dad musicians, family comes first.
Chris, this is fantastic to have you here because I've known you for a couple of years now, and I'm really impressed with not only the performance side that you have as a real dedicated artist, but you've tacked onto the business side with Shabby Studios and other production companies that you're involved with. So you're handling a wide variety of things. And of course, Neil Diamond, there's so many things that you have done. Let's just start from the beginning. Where did music enter your world and what got you involved in playing music?
Phil Collins. Just being 12 and wanting to play an instrument, and I tried violin, and that didn't really go well in Toxteth. Like carrying a violin to school it wasn't, I felt like I was going to get killed. Tried the synthesizer for a while. I think I had a Juno 60, which if I had now, I could maybe buy a small car with that. And then seeing Genesis on the telly, I was maybe 12. And just going, yeah, I think it's that. I think I want to do that, you know. And Phil Collins is just the reason.
What a
reason I'm here.
powerful voice he has
amazing,
in the music industry.
amazing.
Not just a singing voice, but drumming and writing. It's
powerhouse in every area of everything he does is just incredible.
So that got you involved in drumming?
That got me involved in drumming. And obviously being from Liverpool, and there's music everywhere, and everybody's in a band, and everybody's going to make it, and we're going to be the next Beatles or the next Flock of Seagulls or the next Icicle Works or the next Echo and the Bunnymen. So everyone's doing it, and I was playing in bars and clubs when I was 14, 15, playing Neil Diamond songs in working men's clubs at 14, 15, going, this is weird. Why is everybody all old, and why is everybody smoking? And bizarre.
Never thinking that in the future.
Never, of course. Like you wouldn't even think that you'd do it professionally, and you just think, well, I'll just do it for fun. And I had a milk round so I could earn money, and a paper round so I could buy more drums and more cymbals, and that was just the cycle.
So you were passionate to do whatever you had to do just to be involved with music?
Yes. Mum said, no, you're not having a drum kit in the house. That's ridiculous. And Dad's like, well, don't worry, son. Like, I've got a workshop. We'll take the drums down to the workshop. You can play there and it'll all be good. So we were kind of sneaky about it. And then after a couple of years, Mum realised that, oh, he's actually doing it.
You're
he's
into it,
and he's doing his paper round and buying cymbals. But
just the influence of the Beatles from Liverpool, which is that, when you're saying you're from Liverpool, that opens up just dreams of opportunity that you had never thought before. And here you are, you follow those dreams.
Yes, totally.
What happened? Did you get involved with studying the drums? Did you start to listen to other drummers? How did you evolve?
Yes, playing gigs, playing in bands, trying to get a record deal like everybody does, and being in original bands. So many from the age of 14 to 21, and getting little record deals and thinking, this is it, we've done it, you know. And then nothing comes of it. It's just nothing happens.
Is there still this Beatles aura in Liverpool that they did it at such a powerful level that there's this fuel to dream? Yeah,
there is, and I feel like it's more now. Liverpool's gotten better. If the Beatles came from a town in America, it would be Beatleville. And you would go there and you'd be submersed in everything that is Beatles.
Exactly.
Liverpool it just hasn't been that place. I mean, I remember being in my front room, maybe 13, I've been playing about a year, and Ringo was outside my house doing an interview like this. And he seemed very uninterested. I'm very interested, by the way. And I opened the curtains and I go, that's Ringo. And it was like a Japanese film crew, and he was pointing, he's, you know, well, that's where I live there, and there's the pub there, I'm Ringo. So I'm freaking out. So I say, Mum, is that Ringo? And she comes over and she goes, yeah, walks away. That was the kind of people, it's just there.
In America, we would be screaming out the windows.
Exactly, Beatleville. Now literally since I left, I feel like it's really expanded. There's the museums, there's the tours, which have always been there, and now it seems like people are coming to Liverpool, and Liverpool's saying, yeah, we're awesome. We've got these soccer teams, and we've got the Beatles, and we've got the Dock, and we've got this and that, and it's suddenly a tourist destination.
Yeah, very exciting.
You know. So it's cool. I don't go home that much. I was home with Neil, obviously, in the fall.
Yeah.
So that was nice to go home. But I couldn't tell anybody, which we'll get to.
Absolutely.
So that was the secret. So they were like, why are you here? Oh, I'm just visiting. But that's, yeah.
So you're learning drums, you're starting to play with different bands at this time? Are you
Yes.
starting to experiment professionally
Yes,
playing?
Totally. Playing, doing some gigs for money, which is an amazing thing when you're 16 and someone pays you.
Yeah.
And then getting to 17, 18 and then going to, what was the name of the place? Liverpool Community College, but it had another name back then.
Yeah.
And I went and did this 2-year HND jazz and commercial music course, which I wasn't there that much because I was out touring and playing in bands,
Great.
which I don't think you could do now.
Yeah.
And not that I'm that old, but
Yeah.
this is 24 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and the teachers would just say, well, you're out doing it. Playing with China Crisis, who was a band from Liverpool in the 80s. We'd go out and tour. And then bands that I was in that had got little deals, or I was doing a club date and playing Mustang Sally and Sweet Caroline, and, you know, and Beatles stuff. And we'd all get a bit kind of upset, oh, we're playing more Beatles stuff. But at the time, when you're 17, you know, you want to be rocking out to Radiohead or whatever we were into at the time, you know, when the Oasis and Blair battle was going on.
That was huge, yeah.
So that was a huge thing. So everybody wanted to play that, and we'd go and play clubs and student unis, and, you know, so professionally really kicking in about 19.
Interesting. So are you learning? Are you studying with any teachers?
Yes,
Are you
I
going
am,
through
yes.
any books? Was there any kind of formal?
Teachers. Dave Joseph was just, you know, a bit of a local legend, jazz guy,
Yeah.
really good player, older guy, had just kind of done it all and been there. And then there's another guy, Roy Martin, who's now a dear friend and is kind of like my mentor. I met him when I was about 19 because he seemed to be the only guy in Liverpool that was a professional session musician. And I'd started to get this thing of like, this is great being in a band and I want to be a rock star, but I also want to be a professional player. And he seems to be the only one that's doing it. So we met and we chatted and I had maybe 2 lessons from him, but it wasn't this.
Yeah.
It was what he had to say.
Beautiful.
That made me go, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, so I can do that and I can do this and maybe I'll do both. And so that kind of started the kind of professional side of it. And then I would look around and try and see those opportunities.
Well, that's fantastic that you
Still
saw
wanting
that.
to be a rock star and
Yeah,
still wanting
yeah.
to be John Bonham.
But you widened your view of what your potential was.
Yes, totally.
in how to make an income.
Yes.
And that's an important part of the
Yes.
process. If we're not making an income, it's hard to stay doing what our passion drives us
Yeah.
to. So you started to get involved in playing a variety of different bands.
Yeah.
Who were you listening to at that time? What kind of music were you listening to?
Still all the kind of classic things of Genesis and Bowie and John Lennon.
Right.
And I mean, growing up with my dad's stuff of Billy Joel. I mean, Liberty is just
Fantastic, right?
amazing. Just
a great player.
Again, sitting in my dad's warehouse, headphones on, with a cassette,
Yeah.
learning those records. Just that live Russia record. When was that?
Yeah, that
80,
was-
early
yeah,
80s?
late
maybe?
80s, yeah.
Late 80s. But Elton John, Billy Joel, The Police, big influence. Just,
Nice.
you know, nothing that new at the time. It was all still the 70s and 80s, classic rock, singer-songwriters. You know, even though I love Genesis and Phil Collins, I've never been a big drum soloist, and I don't really look for that in the music I listen to.
Yeah.
Even though that's crazy saying that, because Phil Collins is some of the best drum solos
Absolutely.
ever. Incredible with him and Chester. You're just
Absolutely.
like, oh my God.
What
And
a
I
duo.
would-
Chester Thompson and Phil Collins. It's like a duo
Yeah.
of brilliant drumming
Yeah.
excitement, yeah.
It's a struggle to find new music, I feel.
Yeah.
But that's a commitment that I'm not making, because if I go, I want to listen to something and I want to be in a good mood, I go, well, I'll put David Bowie on.
Yeah.
And I know instantly it's just going to make me feel a certain way.
Fantastic.
And I go, yeah. And I want that instant gratification of, you know, I was listening to a Gads record on the way down, the Gad Gang, and just losing my mind. Just, how is he just doing a closed roll?
Yeah.
And it feels like the world's about to end with excitement. I don't know.
Steve
How's
is
he doing
another enigma of just powerful
unbelievable.
passion, yeah.
You know, groove and the sound and
Yeah.
the vibe. Yeah.
So Liverpool to LA, how'd that happen?
Liverpool to London, kind of, because again, trying to be a professional session player in Liverpool, there isn't that many
Difficult,
opportunities for
yeah.
that. So I would look at the NME, which was the old music magazine,
Yeah.
and I would scour the ads wanted, you know. And you could just kind of tell the ones that seem to be professional, or like, that looks like it's got money. That seems like a thing. And I answered an ad, and it ended up being the Hedwig and the Angry Inch show, which was a Broadway show here, which was a Jane Street Theatre off-Broadway show in New York.
Yes.
20 years ago now. And then it went to the West End in London. So they were looking for rock and roll guys to come down and do this thing. So I drove down to London in my dad's van. I think I slept in the van that night as well. Because I went in, did the audition at John Henry's, I think, and it was a really fancy place. I wasn't used to it, and it was a rehearsal that was all mic'd up, and there was a sound guy, and there was people right now sitting here on chairs just staring at you. Which I'd just never done, And these Americans, those weirdos, they were there, and they were all a bit rock and roll looking. And I played the tunes, and I'd learned them, and it was like very Lou Reed meets David Bowie type stuff. So it was, I loved it.
Yeah.
I lashed out the tunes, and the guy came over and winked at me and gave me a fist bump. I don't know what that means, So I left, and I'm halfway back to Liverpool, which is like LA to Vegas.
Yeah.
And the fixer, the contractor, called me and said, they really like you, they want you to come back. So I drove back to London, I slept in the van, went back the next day, got the gig. I thought it was a band. I didn't realise it was a West End show. I didn't know. They were all rock and roll looking. And so I get the gig, and so I moved to London. I was down there for maybe 7-8 months, found a place to live. And even at the start of the gig, like, they give me a costume and makeup, so we look like the spiders from Mars. And I'm thinking, well, where are we gigging? Where are we going on tour? And someone had to sit down with me and go, it's a musical. I'm like, a what? I'd never, there's no musicals in Liverpool. I'm rock and roll drummer. So, long story short, that led to the Boy George musical, because Boy George wanted a band for his musical.
Beautiful.
And didn't want the more seasoned and older West End guys. And he'd seen Hedwig and said, well, let's just use the Hedwig band. So we went and auditioned for George, and George went, okay, yeah. So we became George's band.
How beautiful.
For that show. So after Hedwig had finished again, it's London, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
You go back to Liverpool, and I would teach of a day, loads of kid students, I would do club dates at night, then I would be constantly looking at London and checking in with people, and then the Boy George thing happened, I'd go down and live, and then at the end of that, I moved to America, because I'd met my now wife doing Hedwig in Scotland, because they brought her over from LA to be the Gail character that's dressed like a dude with a beard. So I fell in love with my wife with a beard. So
a little perverted, but that's all right. We get this.
Watch out, Tom. You may be next. So I moved to America, 27. Yeah. So I left the Boy George gig, because when you're 27, you're stupid and you just leave gigs. Great, because you think, I'll get another one. And as I moved, George said, we're going to Broadway. And I said, no, we're not. He said, no, Rosie O'Donnell came the other night, and she loves the show. She's going to take us to Broadway. Of course we are, George. Thank you very much, mate. I'll see you.
Yeah.
Moved to America. 3 or 4 months after I moved here, I get a call. We're going to Broadway. So then I moved to New York, lived in New York for maybe 8-9 months. So did a show on Broadway, and then that led to Wicked. It's like the snowball of things, isn't it?
Beautiful.
And you meet people doing that, and then now I'm doing Wicked, which is a proper show.
Absolutely, yeah.
With proper charts, and it's in and out of time, and there's bars of 5, and there's this, and you're watching a crazy conductor just flap at you on a screen, and I'm in a box on my own. It's just bizarre.
What do you think the ingredient was that you possess that drove you from Liverpool to make those trips to London, and then make this trip to the U.S.? What drove? What was the ingredient? Your passion? You put yourself in situations that obviously you were nervous about, you were uncomfortable, but yet you still went there.
Yeah.
What drives you at that point?
The will to work. I like to work because, well, I shouldn't say the word work. It's not work, is it? Well,
it's play.
We do. It's play. But to work to get to that situation.
Yeah.
And to be, I love being in a band. There's just nothing better than being in a gang, and it's your team and you're all there doing it. And that's kind of my drive, and just wanting to play with people and play music and be around musician types.
Yeah.
There's some terrible ones. Yeah. But generally, and coming from a working class background and really having to prove, even to your mum and dad, yes, this is a real thing.
You can make this happen.
I can make this happen, Mum. Yeah. And I remember having a chat with my mum, with my dad, when I was maybe 17, and I'd said, Dad, I think I'm going to be a drummer. And he kind of looked, and he'd been helping me roadie around town. He'd put my stuff in his van, and he'd take me to gigs, and he'd sit and wait, and all that cool stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying, okay, well, you know, whatever you think, son, and don't get your girlfriend into trouble. That was just don't get your girlfriend pregnant. And work hard, you know.
Sound
and
advice.
me wanting to you know, to prove to them, look, it's a thing, it's a job, I can make a living,
Yeah.
I'm happy, I enjoy doing it. And of course, there's highs and lows,
Yeah.
which I'm experiencing this week.
Yeah.
The lows of what happens in the industry, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But the highs are awesome. And I mean, I'm 42, so professionally 24-ish years, hopefully a couple more.
Yeah. Oh, you've definitely got long mileage. You know, it's interesting because in the values of what you have from Liverpool, those values have stayed with you in the
Yeah.
process. You know, there's a balance of three things that as musicians we try and balance. Our artistic ability
Yeah.
to keep our playing at a high level,
Yeah.
our business side so we can make money and survive at what we're doing,
Yeah.
and then the personal side to
Yeah.
have relationships with you being married, then having children, and balancing all of that
Yeah.
is a real, you know, challenge at times. But you're doing that fantastic with a wonderful family and two boys.
Yes.
How do you balance all of that? How do you handle the business side and the family side and keeping your playing at a certain level? How do you balance all that?
I try and practice every day, even
Okay.
if it's 20 minutes or it's 2 hours. I try and at least, I mean, even if I'm making dinner with the kids, I'll go, okay, I haven't played today because I had to go to Costco and I had to call this guy and I had to do this.
Yeah.
I'll have the pad out and I'm steaming the broccoli.
Yeah.
So that's kind of keeping that thing
Yeah.
going. The kids, I mean, when I'm home, I'm Mr. Mom. I'm Dad, you know.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
wife gives me the list. She's in New York now, and she gave me a list to do this week,
Yeah.
and I haven't done it. Sorry. I'm working my way through it, but you know, I'm with the kids, and that's the priority. To be honest, now,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, now that I've got kids and I'm essentially an adult. The priority is the kids, you know. Now, don't get me wrong, going away for 6 weeks, that can be a joyous thing for everybody in our house.
Yeah.
You know, everybody gets a break from dad gets a break from everybody else.
Yeah.
We get to miss each other.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think it's nice actually. So on a personal level,
Absolutely.
I kind of like the fact that I go away occasionally, or whether it's with Wicked or Neil or Alan, like you just get to leave it. And I call it, I mean, sometimes I call it a holiday, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
And it makes my wife feel better I say that. She's like, oh, when's your next holiday? And I'm like, it's hard, babe, getting up at 10. It's tough, and then I have to find breakfast, and then I have to go for lunch with the guys in the band, and then we go to sound check and someone cooks for us. And she's like, yeah. But then I come back and I'm ready to be dad. And I'm like, right,
Absolutely.
boys, let's
Come
go.
back and
Let's
you're
go to
fired up.
soccer tournaments.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let me slap you about a little bit and
Yeah.
scream at you. So it's good. It's good.
You mentioned soundcheck. Neil Diamond. I mean, here you are now with this intensity. Now, how'd you hook
Yeah.
up with that whole situation?
It's a massively long and funny story because I was in secret for a while because out of respect for Ron and Neil in the situation,
Right.
Ron, Neil and management had just decided that Ron was getting tired. You know, he's an older guy.
Yeah.
Man's a legend.
Yeah, Ron Tyler.
Like,
Beautiful guy.
I mean, talk about watching things as a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
And watching Ron just blaze.
Yeah, yeah.
It was incredible,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So, long story short, they decided, well, let's have somebody ready. And Ron was like, you make sure you have somebody. I don't know whether I can do the whole tour. I don't know whether I can finish it. Let's just have somebody ready.
Yeah.
So it was always a kind of an amazing gig, but it may never have happened.
Yeah.
But how do you say no to, you know? So I learned all the stuff and slowly but surely got to know everybody, and even though I was in secrets, you'd still get to meet people, and people would be like, who's that? And the security guard would say, he's number 38, because that was my luggage tag. And we talked, you know, sneaking around, you know, bizarre. But kind of fun and kind of Spinal Tap as well,
Yeah.
just crazy. Slowly Ron was just getting more tired, you know, and then he hurt himself. So it was like, okay, well, again, long story short, it's time to go in, Jago. No rehearsals. I'd been told all along by Neil's music people and his producer, you better know this stuff. You know, so I literally went with a desk tape of Ron and I charted out, note for note, everything he played.
Beautiful.
Everything. So I had this Neil Diamond Bible. that I would just work on, and wrote it. And that's a really good way I find to learn stuff. If I write it down, it goes in.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's dad brain now, just trying to remember. And we're in Europe. And again, like they're flying me in and out to tours and, we need you here. And I was supposed to go to Australia with Alan Cumming and I couldn't go. And they got my visa and plane ticket. And then, Neil's people said, no, I think you should stay. I think you're going to go in soon. So you'd have these amazing highs of excitement.
Yeah,
Going, oh my God, I'm going to go. Oh, this is crazy.
So who went out with Alan?
Fortunately, he'd used a drummer in Australia 2 or 3 years previous.
Oh, okay.
And we called him, and I charted that show out, everything. Even to when Alan makes a joke, and you do the joke fill, I had everything written out for this guy.
Well, this is an incredible amount of tedious work that you do to make this happen. It's brilliant.
Yes, but preparation,
Brilliant.
again, like, to
Absolutely.
me, because when I'm gigging, I want to enjoy it. I don't want to be stressed out by the gig.
Yeah.
So
You
the
want to know
work is
everything.
before. Yeah, the work is before the gig.
Yeah.
The gig is fun.
Yeah.
Looking up around people and being involved and
Yeah.
listening and laughing at people's mistakes
Yeah.
and laughing at my own mistakes.
Yeah.
And, So that happened many times. If you're going in, you're not going in. We're going to fly you to Toronto. We're going to fly you here, fly you there, and it's Neil Diamond. So you're treated extremely well. I've done some cool things, but it's amazing, and it's a family, and everybody involved in our organisation is incredible.
This is an icon at the highest level.
Yes, it is. And there's people that have been with him for 5 years and people that have been with him for 50 years.
Wow.
His sound man was his original sound guy.
Oh my gosh.
Again, long story short, eventually I go in and we're in, I think it was Amsterdam, the first show, no rehearsal. We do a sound check, maybe an hour. I run a couple of the tunes, we get the drums ready. And I'm just trying to be just calm and mellow. And management had gone, now, don't wear Neil out in the sound check, basically saying to me, we don't care about you right now. Don't tire Neil out, he's got a show to do tonight. So I'm thinking, okay, so I'm just going to go on with no rehearsal, and you want me to do as little as possible in the sound check. And it's Neil Diamond. Okay, so I'm drinking chamomile tea. I actually gave up caffeine that day, just because I was like, I'm so jittery and so nervous. I'm gonna pretend to be the coolest person in the world, and just everything's fine.
That's an acting skill, by the way.
Yes, I deserve an Oscar, to be honest. I don't know who's got nominated this year, but I should have got one. And we do the sound check, and then we have dinner, and everyone's around, and all the crew guys were all awesome, and they'd say things like, wow, we've been watching you the last few months, and you've got the greatest gig in the world. But today, you've got the worst gig in the world. Good luck, brother. And then another one would say, well, there's 75 people hoping you can play the drums tonight. Because the whole crew, it was like, if it didn't work, everyone's going home.
Oh my Lord.
So again, I'm sitting there on Ron's drums, freaking out, drinking chamomile tea, going, it's going to be okay, I've got my Bible. We get to the show, you're backstage, and the roadies lead you out with the torches. It's all Spinal Tap and awesome. And there's 17, 18,000 people.
Torches that lead you after the guy.
Yeah. And it's funny, they have the guys backstage, and you hear the radios, and again, I'm trying to be like, yeah, it's all fine. Yeah, it's just a gig. Yeah. And then you hear on the con, Jago to the stage, and you're like, oh man, my heart's just pounding. And I'm there with the keyboard player, Tom Hensley, who's been with Neil for 46, 7, 8 years, something crazy,
incredible.
And he's like, yeah, let's do this, Jago. And I'm like, yeah. And he walks out, but he's 78. So I'm behind him, and I'm ready to charge out on stage with this energy, and Tom just kind of walks out on stage. People are screaming, and I'm just behind this awesome old guy, okay. And then you sit down, we did the show, and it went amazing, and it's the peak for me, just of when you go, oh my God, like that, like it worked. I was calm, I listened, I watched, I looked at my chart when I needed to.
You were in that moment.
I was just that moment. You just go, oh my God, this is the best night of my life. It's unbelievable, And it went great. And then the show ended. And I just sat behind the drums, just kind of freaking out. And everyone had left the stage. And then the road crew was, Jago, get off the stage. Neil was waiting for me to say congratulations, I didn't know. And I was just sitting there going, jeez, I don't think I can move right now, and I hope I've got my brown underpants on, because this is not with, you know. So they dragged me off and he rushed me back, and there's Neil waiting for me. He's got his robe on, because he's Neil Diamond. That's what you do after the show. And he was like, well done, that was amazing. And he gave me a big hug. And it just felt like the best hug ever.
Yeah.
Sorry, wife. But you know, you just get that hug and you just go, oh my God, yeah, I just sat in and did a gig with Neil Diamond. Amazing. And he said, so how'd you feel? You know, how are you? I said, look at that, Neil. Steady as a rock. But my sphincter's going like this. He lost it. So I felt even better then that I'd done the gig, I'd lived the dream, and I'd made Neil Diamond laugh. And I was like, done. So the peak, then 3 gigs later we're in Manchester. And by the way, I hadn't told anybody. My wife knew. I hadn't told my mum and dad. So my mum and dad are calling me going, who are you on tour with? So I used Alan as a cover. Oh, we're in Europe with Alan. We're doing a bunch of corporate events. I've been looking online and I can't see any gigs with Alan. Meanwhile, I'm in Vienna with Neil, or, you know, because I wanted to surprise them.
Yeah.
So anyway, we go to Manchester, and the gig before we were in Antwerp, and part of the gig as well, which no one tells you, and again, this is good advice.
Right.
When we were getting ready for the show, the band have 2 screens. I have 1 screen, so there's a camera constantly on Neil that's just for me. And I have a little screen down here. And basically Ron is cueing the band and counting stuff off, which I knew some of the stuff, but I didn't realise, even all the gigs I was watching, like Neil's cues at the end, that's for Ron, then Ron does the thing, and then the band are watching a monitor of the drummer. So all the band are holding the notes or doing whatever, they're watching me, and I'm watching Neil. So you're doing the big ends, and I'm watching Neil, and you're just looking for that, something from Neil that's going to give you that last boom. Yeah.
Take it out,
Yay, and you give it the big bosh, you know. And we're doing the end, and it's a big end, and Neil's just enjoying the crowd, and the people are screaming, hey! And he does the subtlest of gestures. I mean, he tweaks his little finger. We're in an arena, and I'm 40 foot away, and I've got a screen this big, so I don't see it. I just keep going, and the band are dying. And then he looks around, and he looks at me, and I go, oh, I missed it. Oh. Brown underpants. So I yes it. We get to the end of the show and we do something else. And it wasn't the last song, but it was something else. And I did it again, like you know, he does the big end, and he gave the smallest gesture. Like he winked. And I missed it again. So from being here, being like, oh my God, I've just upset Neil Diamond. That's it. My career's over. It's done. So we go to Manchester the next gig. We do these sound check rehearsals, and we're putting new songs in, which is a bit stressful. You know, he's like, Jago, what other songs of mine do you know? Which is a funny thing to hear from Neil Diamond. And I've got my book, and I know Longfellow Serenade, and I know Shiloh, and he's going, right, let's try that. And we try it once. That's in the show. So it's just that every day, you know.
Nice.
And we're doing the sound check, and all I've got in my head, and for the last 36 hours, I upset Neil Diamond. He hates me. My life's over. I missed those 2 cues. Oh my God, dying. We go through the whole sound check rehearsal. No one says anything. The band don't say a thing. Neil says nothing. We're all just having a great time. And I'm just freaking out. Again, just like, oh my God, like, what do I say? At the end of the rehearsal, Neil says, right, has anybody got anything you want to do or say? And I'm stupid. So I said, you know, we all have microphones because we're on in-ears. We have these mics at the sound check. It's all very fancy. And I go, yes, Neil, just one small thing. And you can hear the band's buttocks clenching, like, no, don't say it. Just, he doesn't care, move on. But I'm dying on the inside, like, I'm like, oh, I can't, I'm gonna say something. I said, Neil, the other night, there was a couple of songs, I missed it. Like, it's my fault. Is there anything that I'm doing that, no, is there anything that you're doing that I'm not getting? You know,
this is a very valid question you're asking.
Very valid question. Like he's essentially leading the band. Then I've got to lead the rest of the band after he's done his thing. I'm cueing these big ends, big arenas. There's lights and bombs, whatever it is.
Little monitor, yeah.
It's crazy, little monitor. And I say, you know, so is there anything that I should be looking for, Neil? Is there sin? Blah blah blah. Silence. And everyone's on radio. It's like the whole arena's silent, and you're just like, oh, I've done it again. Why did I open it? And he pauses, he takes his hat off and he scratches his head and he goes, Jago, You're going to miss things. I'm going to miss things. It's rock and roll. I was back up here. I'd never been so relieved.
Fantastic.
Like the happiest person in the world. And then that was the night my mum and dad came and realised that I was playing drums for Neil.
It doesn't get any deeper than that.
And then Neil spoke to them from the stage.
Oh, from the stage? Yeah. How incredible.
Unbelievable. We're feeding him. He's sleeping. We're looking after him. He's doing well. He's going to be okay. And I was just standing there beaming.
An incredible experience.
Yeah, incredible experience.
But this is life-changing.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
yes,
it really has
totally.
taken you to a different place.
Yes, totally.
The confidence, the intensity of all of that has had to change you to a whole different level. So now, what have you taken that experience? I mean, I know you have like Shabby Road Studios, so now you've started your own thing.
Yes.
This is just a part of the fueling of you now going and doing things on your own to the next highest level.
Yes, it is. And I've always felt like we discussed before, something leads to something.
Right.
And again, for me, it's about people and connections and being a nice person.
Yeah.
I mean, doing the job, you know, and again, I sweat over things to the nth degree to where I'm right now. Ron sneezed, right the sneeze, like everything, you know, I was putting it all in there. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that all these new people that I've met and the new producers and management and the new crew guys and musicians, it's just a whole other branch of the tree that opens up.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. But you continue to stay on the cutting edge of doing these things. And that's part of your talent, your ability, your business experiences, your personality. These are all incredible. Yeah. In closing, what would you say to, like, you know, this next generation as they watch this here and they see the success of what you're doing and the excitement of how you're living your life with the balance of your artistic development continuing, your business skills now with your own projects developing, and the balance of your family? What advice could you give them for this next generation to give them the fuel for them to live their passion?
I mean, you have to have the passion. You've got to see that first of all. You've got to want to do it. But then I think you do have to branch out a lot more now. And I mean, I've watched a lot of these interviews and a lot of people say the same thing. It's not, I mean, there is guys that all they do is play the drums and they're incredible and that's all they do. Yeah. Then there's a lot of guys that do a lot of different things, maybe produce a little bit, maybe teach a little bit, you know. And I'm probably one of those guys where I'm, you know, producing local artists. I'm recording sessions at home. I'm teaching kids. I'm going on the road. I'm doing a Broadway show. Like, it's a bit of everything, and I think it's going to continue to be that. I think, you know, there's always going to be the monsters that will blow us away. And we talked about Vinny last night. I don't think he's human. I honestly don't.
And we just have to say Vinny, and we know who he is. Yes,
and we know who he is, and everything he does, you go, that's the best that's ever been done. Like incredible. But I think you have to just do a lot of things now, and especially as a dad, and I know a lot of dad musicians. You know, like family comes first. It really does, and everything after that is second. But everything after that is a lot of things.
Yes, there's a lot of things, but you balance it all, you keep it going. What's amazing. Number 38, on behalf of the sessions, we thank you so much. You have done fantastic, Chris. Beautiful.
Awesome.
Keep it going.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.